What's up, Laker Nation? This is episode 7 of the Downtown Lakers podcast. I'm your co-host Ethan Shiraz, joined here by my other co-host Jake Ellenbogen. All right, so we've been on a quite a hiatus here by about a month because me and Jake had like other things going on, and hey man, we're back. Lakers obviously lost in 5 games against T Wolves. Now we're in the off season, so let's get to it. And what's up, Jake? How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm good. Just wish that they ended up lasting a little bit longer than what ended up happening. That was a
Right.
really disappointing series. I did say the last time we convened here, I did say 7 game series. I felt like this was going to be a tough team, and I never bought into the Lakers in 5 thing. The Timberwolves are a good team, but I think the big thing here, the big component, the thing that is ultimately why the Lakers lost this series is because of the size difference. And it's the reason
Absolutely.
why, if Rudy Gobert was going up against Anthony Davis, we wouldn't have heard a peep. Rudy Gobert looks like Wilt Chamberlain compared to this lineup. We'll get into it, but I had some issues with the way, JJ Redick, who was great all year, I thought he went away from what was working this year. I think a lot of people, it's easy to forget, but a lot of people really forget how important Jackson Hayes was down the stretch. And I just feel like to not even really play him in the playoffs, not only does it kill his confidence if, God forbid, you do have to play him, which they did, they just never used him. But I don't get it. Like, I don't care. Okay, he's not the best rebounder in the world, but you needed some length, you needed some
And a big
size.
man,
They had
especially against
nothing.
those big guys like they have Rudy Gobert, they have Nas Reed. That's such a tall lineup. Julius Randle. I mean, they're all over the boards against us. Like I was at Game 5 and I saw us get defeated in the first round, and then watching them play small against against the big lineup was kind of disappointing because we just couldn't get a rebound. So things to really consider is to get top priority centers in the offseason, like 7 footers that can actually get rebounds, get all this, get all the rebounds, whatever. Because if you guys know, all Lakers 17 championships, we had a center. There was a one title where we didn't have a center, so it's very very important to get one of those centers in the offseason.
No, I agree, and I think pretty much the whole offseason it's going to be talked about. The center position. I mean, there are definitely some names we'll discuss. I mean, obviously there were names we discussed before, around the trade deadline, just as Lakers fans and what have you. And Mark Williams, really, he was one of the big names. Miles Turner was another one, although the Pacers I felt like were better than given credit for, and we're likely not going to part with him. But you look at other guys like Daniel Gafford, Walker Kessler, and so there are definitely some guys that we'll talk about. But yeah, I think right now the big thing for the Lakers, and some people may disagree, but I don't think they should blow this up.
They
I
shouldn't.
I
I
see a
agree.
lot of Austin Reeves rumors about him potentially being traded and Rui. And I just say this: if you can get your guy in free agency, that is what I would do. I would focus on getting a guy in free agency and then figure it out. But I'm not trying to move all of these pieces. I don't think the pieces were the issue. They missed not having a genuine center. They were playing small ball against Rudy Gobert. It just doesn't work. So
Yeah.
ultimately, I think a lot of what they need is on this roster currently. They can, pick up the pace, add some guys, not have the offseason they had last year where they didn't add anybody really. And yeah, that's kind of how I see it. But, before we get into that, though, your thoughts on the series?
I mean, obviously, it was disappointing to lose in 5 games. Obviously, since we just got the third seed going to the playoffs, we're expecting like a big playoff run, but obviously fell short. But like you said, I think if we kept the same roster for next season, add like another few big men that can, really like play good with our lineups, then we'll be, a championship contender. But like we all saw during the season, where we're like, oh wow, I think we're championship contenders, but all came down to the big man. So that was just like the whole gist of it. So
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big issue, right now anyway, is, when you look at this team, kind of going into it, you had all the different pieces that you had, but you didn't have that center. But then I also think that bench was just really lacking. I mean,
Right.
you
I agree
can
with that too.
like you can like Goodwin, right? You can like some of these guys, but they shouldn't be key contributors off your bench. They're guys at the back end of the bench, right? And so, you had actually brought up to me, Bronny, I believe it was off air, about like, well, it's nice and all that he's on the roster, but if they're not going to use him, it is kind of a waste of a roster spot in the postseason.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree, because if they aren't going to use him or they don't believe that in him, right, in that scenario, then yeah, he absolutely was a waste of a roster spot, in the postseason. But I didn't really like the bench as a whole in the postseason. I mean, going into it, don't get me wrong, like a Vanderbilt, guys like that, okay, but they didn't have really anybody else except for, Vanderbilt and Gabe. And
Yeah, it was pretty much like an 8, 9 man roster. Like the other guys were just
Yeah.
like bench warmers. Like obviously Alex
They
Lamb
ran
was
it
on the
like
bench all the
college,
time.
essentially.
Like, and then Max Klebo just came back game 5 for like a few minutes, and that was it. And then
Yeah.
we sat down Jackson Hayes for the remainder of the series. So it's it is disappointing, but we just gotta look on the future. Hopefully get new guys or keep some of the same guys and run with the same roster and go for another title run. So that's the main hope for right now. So
I didn't love how they kind of threw the guy under the bus, the conditioning guy.
oh, I know. Yeah, they're hiring a new guy now. Apparently, I mean,
But I feel like
mean,
that's kind of the Lakers nowadays, right?
Yeah,
well,
I mean-
Frank Vogel won a title, but then we traded away a lot of the roster to get Russell Westbrook, who, by the way, is one of my all-time favorite players. So I'm not going to say
absolutely.
that I
I
didn't.
respect that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going
First
to
round
act
Hall of
like
Famer.
I hated that move.
Spell it.
But it was an overreaction to the fact that they got bounced by the Suns. They were injured. We all know that. And then they took it out on, Vogel. And I just have to say there is a pattern here. There is a pattern of the Lakers organization, Lakers brass, basically just throwing the scapegoat to the Wolves, essentially. So, I didn't like seeing that. I didn't. I don't care if JJ
Yeah.
Redick had an issue with him or not. I didn't like seeing it because the last thing I'm thinking is, oh, yeah, you know why the Lakers didn't win the first round against the Timberwolves? It's because of their conditioning. That's why. They just didn't have – that was not why they lost. And also another thing about that series, they were down to the wire. Every single game was close. That was the frustrating part about it.
And
because
plus,
they
we
didn't
lost
get
every single
blown
fourth
out.
quarter too. We lost every
know.
fourth quarter. Like we were in the game the whole time. Kind of reminds me of the Denver series for like the last few years. We were in the game the whole time, and then fourth quarter just totally collapsed like the last 2 minutes, and then there were really bad calls from the referees that we saw from game 3 and
Awful.
4. But as we talked off air, and then that's pretty much the whole gist of it. But to your point, yeah, I totally agree that throwing the guys under the bus like Frank Vogel and Darvin Ham, and honestly, it's up to the players. Even LeBron admitted after the game, it's our responsibility to get the job done, and we didn't.
Yeah.
So,
I love LeBron, but I didn't really like, you saw what AD said. He said he wanted a center and then he's out of here. And it's like, come on, man. Like, don't go there. Don't go there, because I feel like that's disrespectful to Doncic. Like, you've already established he's your teammate. You've established him. I didn't like that. I felt like that felt like sour grapes. Like, we lost and I'm just going to, and of course, in that moment, on one hand, he's a human being. He's frustrated. Probably doesn't mean what he's saying. Okay. But on another hand, you're representing an organization. You're a professional. You're 40 years of age. This is not your first rodeo. Like, I would have expected him to conduct himself in a little bit of a better, more respectful manner to his teammate. But regardless, that wasn't my biggest issue. My biggest issue is the fact that this team that was right down to the wire, neck and neck with the Timberwolves, I didn't like how they played small ball the entire game. I felt like that was a mistake. I know it was trying to mitigate Anthony Edwards. I know it was because you don't have a superstar big man like an Anthony Davis. I get that, but that is what did them in. No doubt about it to me. I think they had what it took to win, and I think just that really small ball lineup, I think, really hurt them. And hopefully, a young coach who just had 50-win season. It was like the first 51 season in quite a while for the Lakers.
Since
A
2020.
young coach, yeah, 2020. A young coach can learn from this, and I think JJ Redick is. I've compared him to crosstown, friend over there with the Rams, Sean McVay, because I think he is very similar in that regard. He understands
Right.
the game on just a different level, and very passionate, and he builds the right culture, and everybody likes him. And I feel that way about JJ Redick. So I think he'll bounce back from this. When I saw like, oh yeah, JJ Redick's job's safe, I was like, oh, you are not scapegoating JJ Redick. Because at that point,
No, we're
Rob
not doing that again.
Pelinka is the problem at that point. But no, I think that this offseason, there needs to be some moves. I know you probably want to get into that now. There, is the expectation that Luka is going to sign a long-term deal with the Lakers. That is the expectation, but nothing is guaranteed. Nothing has been confirmed. And so if the Lakers don't really, they don't address the center position, it's going to be tough. Now, I guess one thing I'll ask you before we dive into the offseason. Mark Williams, first off, because I have mixed feelings about it. But let's start off with this. Do you believe the Lakers failed his physical for any other reason than the right way to fail a physical? Do you think maybe they got buyer's remorse and didn't want to give up Dalton? Do you feel like that's a possibility, or do you think that they truly failed him, like he just didn't pass it? Because I feel like he just didn't pass it.
I mean, honestly, there's a ton of things that's going on. Either he passed it, or he failed it, or they just got buyer's remorse. But honestly, to me, I feel like we have buyer's remorse because we're giving up a phenomenal draft pick that we had, like one of the steals of the draft. Plus, he's a young, good shooter, and he contributed to the team, which he didn't obviously play a lot of minutes in the playoffs. But obviously, if you're asking today if we should have kept him, of course we should have kept him. Like we struggled in the playoffs without a big man, and he would have contributed big time. And after the playoffs, when we lost, he tweeted like some emoji of laughing emoji or whatnot, trying to like get back at us for rinsing the trade. So I think it's probably just buyer's remorse. But Rob and the guys will learn from the mistake, and hopefully we can acquire some good big man in the free agency coming up this summer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think really what it comes down to is I understand a lot of people are going to be upset. They're going to look at, wow, we lost, and we were going to get Mark Williams and we turned down Mark Williams. But at the same time, I just think he failed it. And I understand, okay, he ended up playing with, but this is a guy who's had injuries. And I think that they were probably really excited. And then they, had the medicals come back and they're like,
honestly, I thought we're just desperate. Yeah, we were desperate at the same time. We thought about the future.
He would have been a great fit, but
absolutely.
You just don't know if he could stay healthy.
Right. Yeah. That's the number of concern. So
his immaturity is showing the way he was acting after the fact.
Right.
So
I guess I don't know if he win or lost. I don't know.
I don't know if he's welcome. Not that I would have any issue with bringing him in. I mean, okay, we've all tweeted out something that is like kind of childish, maybe a little immature, but he kind of kept going at it. For me, I don't care though. If he were to be the difference between winning and losing, I'd be all for bringing him in. But at the same time, I don't like necessarily rehashing the same trade. And
yeah,
if New Orleans was trading away damaged goods in the first place, I wouldn't trust him again. So that's my take. I think if they go after anybody, I actually, and I'll see it very often, but I like Claxton.
I was gonna say that too. Claxton, we can go after Miles Turner, obviously, hopefully Steven Adams. I have a full list here that I sent you before the show. So I say like Rashawn Jackson Hayes, possibly Miles Turner, Steven Adams, Brooke Lopez, Andre Drummond, Bol, Mason Plumlee, possibly maybe Bismack Biyombo. Just a few out there that's coming to free agency after their contracts finish. So we can get one of those guys, or at least two of those guys. What we said, get the same roster. and then get back into the season. But if I were to pick one, I'll probably either pick Walker Kessler or Miles Turner, just because they're good for the roster. Going to spread the floor to play pick and roll with LeBron and Luca, a lob threat, obviously. So those can really contribute to our team.
No, I agree with that. I do see a lot of. I'm okay trading Reeves for a center, but
it's gotta be a top tier center.
Yeah, could I not make the argument though that there's not a center on that list that is better than Austin Reeves? I mean, the only argument that you could really make would be what? Miles Turner, and that's that's not worth it.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
I mean, look, if it was for like Karl Anthony Towns or like some like big center like that, or even AD again, if you get AD somehow back in the future, then of course they'll trade Austin. But man, I miss AD. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand like trading. Like Reeves is in his mid-20s, trading him away for a 29-year-old center that he's on the same level as, or maybe better than. Like I don't really get that, but to me, honestly, I don't feel like that makes them better. Like I don't feel like moving Reeves for a top-tier center makes them better. I think the whole point of adding a center is to add to what you have.
Absolutely.
Like if you're going to trade away depth, or you're going to trade away picks, or you're going to trade away Connect. I don't love trading away Connect, but I get it. If you're trading away Austin Reeves, you've missed the plot. You've totally missed the plot.
Yeah, I mean, he's been our third option all year.
Yeah.
But obviously, obviously during the playoffs, he didn't really show up whatsoever. And, maybe just the pressure got to him or whatever. But, we all know he can be himself and play like the way he is, like he's been all season. So, if we keep him,
well, I don't think they got burned out from the lack of a bench.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all those guys are playing. I mean, dude, game 3 and 4. I think it was game 4 or 3, but the whole starting 5 was playing like 48 minutes a game. So JJ kept those guys in the lineup, but unfortunately we just lost the game because we didn't have a center. But also the really bad referee call. But yeah.
Okay, we gotta talk about that real quick.
All right, yeah, we gotta talk about the referees, man. Like it is
the Hawkeye. I've never seen anything like that ever. What was that?
All right. Well, we're talking about which one?
When LeBron said, "If you slap the hand is the ball." Essentially.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, where the hell did the camera come from? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Heavens?
I've never seen anything like that. I've been watching the NBA for years. I've never once seen them go to the Hawkeye. What the hell? It just felt like
I have no idea.
I don't know what it was, Ethan, and I'm not saying like, oh yeah, this is what. No, but it just felt off. The series felt off. The officiating, anytime the Lakers got off to like kind of a run late in the game to kind of come back or
so take the last lead, 2 minutes,
it just felt off. It felt like that game against the Celtics when LeBron got destroyed at the rim, and they didn't call a foul, and he couldn't even believe it. That's what it felt like.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I watched. So
but the worst of them all was when Luka was coming down to the front court from half court. McDaniels tripped him on accident or whatnot, and then they didn't call foul whatsoever, and then we were forced to call a timeout.
Oh, that was horrendous.
And then I mean, dude, we would have been on the free throw line taking the lead, but unfortunately after that, after that timeout, LeBron turned it over and ended up being a layup at the other end of the floor. So that was the game after that, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, no, that was horrendous. It truly was.
Very bad. Very bad.
Yeah, stock down, shocker on the NBA refs. They were horrendous the whole year. They pretty much are always terrible.
Like I've been saying this all pretty much all the time. I've said it many times on this podcast. The NBA has the worst officiating in the history of sports.
Oh,
hands
absolutely.
Down. Like NFL, NHL is best, one of the best.
Yeah, people say like don't blame the officiating, right? Like just.
I mean, at times you can. I mean,
well, I think you can, because especially when it gets to be that close, right? You're talking these games are neck and neck. And it's just like, yeah, I think you're justified to blame the officiating. I really do. And that's the thing is like, you look at some of these games. Oh, yeah, some of them got it out of hand for sure. But like the 103 to 96, game 5.
Yeah.
That was aided by the officiating. It's like these slim margins, 116 to 113. Like when you're these close games down the stretch, you don't think a call can really, put you in a bad spot. I'm not blaming. That's the thing. That's the difference. You can have an issue with the officiating. You could say it led to a situation in which it was harder to come back from, or it led to a situation in which a team felt like maybe they lost the lead in a way that maybe they shouldn't have. But I'm not saying they are the reason the Lakers lost. I'm saying they had a key role in that. The Lakers lost because, like I said, they didn't have the size to go up against Rudy Gobert. It was a mismatch. But yeah, in close games in the postseason, the officiating can absolutely, in any sport, can impact. Right. And I guess I get kind of sick of the whole, well, you just can't have it be you can't have it come down to that. BS. Because it's a playoff game. And in all likelihood, two really good teams, it's going to come down to the wire. So instead of shaming the teams for letting it be a close game, we should probably talk more about, if you're an official, you can't allow that call to be made in that heat of the moment when it's not the correct call, or a call like a non-call, right? The Luka trip. So because those had, like that whole thing, not having a timeout. I mean, these have repercussions. So
right.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. I mean, whatever else you want to add, but
I mean, another thing we talked about, I don't think we talked about this last time, but maybe we did, but there was a game against Oklahoma City, a two-game road trip against them at the same time. And there's a fan on the court side just yelling at him and whatnot. And then Luka was like chopping back at him. And then the ref thought he was talking to him, tossed him out. And then at the end, the NBA had a report saying that they made the incorrect call, saying that it was the fan that talked to him instead of the.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, very bad. So there's many really, really bad calls.
we're tossing star players out of games now. I mean, it's
very
insane.
Bad, bro.
Insane.
Very bad.
Just awful. That referee should be fired. Not fined, fired. That's
Absolutely.
Horrendous. That's how you impact the game. And that's when you're going to lead people who think, they use the R word, they think it's rigged, and then they see, stuff like that and they're like, and so that's why it's a slippery slope to go down anytime you use the R word. But the point being is that you can't have your official doing that. That's just, it's not, it does not fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And could you change the subject one more time? So you talk about the R word, right? Rigged. Did you see the NBA draft lottery the other day?
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Man, how about the Mavericks have 1.8% chance to get the #1 pick? Holy crap, dude.
it does fascinate me. Not saying like the Lakers have to do it, but there have been times where it's like, man, if you were going to rig it, why wouldn't you give it to the Lakers, who, know, they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest franchise in this sport. So
right.
It is interesting. I mean, we all know Patrick Ewing, that whole thing with the Knicks, and Derrick Rose with the Bulls, and LeBron going to the Cavs. That wasn't, that wasn't just a miracle. Like but the last two have been ridiculous. The odds of it are very ridiculous. So
for sure,
it is what it is.
It's like people are saying that what's his name? Adam Silver was talking to Nico Harrison. Hey, if you trade Luka with the Lakers, we'll give you the #1 pick in the draft lottery. So I mean, it could be something as that, but could be just for
people want that in other sports.
No, that's not gonna happen.
I don't understand it. I think the lottery is terrible. I think it's horrendous.
Yeah.
The idea that you can make the playoffs and then get the #1 overall pick is absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially with that magnitude of roster that they have, man. It's like a already championship contender adding another possible star in the league. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Although I will say people need to slow their roll a little bit on Cooper Flagg. Really, really good prospect, but Wembanyama, he's not the best. He's not the most obvious first round pick. Like, people just forget Wembanyama was 2 years ago. He was clearly
crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, It's just ridiculous. It's this revisionist history that I just don't subscribe to because it's just silly. We already know no one is anywhere near the level of Wembanyama. That prospect was an alien.
Incredible.
And he
Probably
sure
the best
enough,
since
it
LeBron.
looks that way. Yeah, he's the best since LeBron. I think so. Maybe you could make an argument for Kevin Durant, but best since
Yeah,
LeBron, I think
true.
is fair.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Do you have anything else to add on, Jake?
no, that's all I wanted to say about that. Because we're not the Downtown Mavs podcast, so
Good. Just I'm just testing you there.
yeah, it is what it is. But I don't have any. I like it for the fans because losing Luka, that sucks. But
Yeah.
I just think that dude, I don't think he deserves that. Like, I think he's a terrible general manager. I don't think he deserved that at all. So,
But also as part of the management too, like ever since Mark Cuban sold the team to the new ownership, they kind of like changed things around. Like, you know, they made it like a business first organization rather than fans first. So it's a whole different ballgame over there. But you know, business is business,
true.
and that's the way of professional sports nowadays, bro.
That is definitely true. So, yeah, this off season should be interesting. I think the guy that I want is Claxton. I'd like Miles Turner. I think he would fit. If it ends up being like a sign and trade or something like that, I'm not really interested. I want just a signing. I don't really want to trade Austin Reeves or any of those guys.
No,
really.
absolutely not.
And I will be the first one to tell you, any trade involving Kevin Durant at his age is stupid. I've seen it. Not saying I've seen it like it's going to happen, but I've seen people mention that as well. And I'm sorry. Getting Kevin Durant makes
I would not
sense.
honestly. Yeah, especially when you know the contract is like above 40 million, I believe. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you know the Suns have probably the biggest payroll in like sports history, I believe. I don't know, that's just crazy to me.
That is crazy.
Didn't make the playoffs whatsoever this year either, so that's even more insane.
No, it absolutely is. I think free agency will be interesting because the thing is, if the Lakers lost in, say, the championship, or they lost in, the conference finals,
talk a little bit better.
Well, not just that though, but if they lost, then I don't think there's as much pressure as it is right now. This was embarrassing. This truly was. I mean, the title of this video was the Lakers season a complete failure? And in my opinion, it was. It absolutely was a complete failure. To lose like that was a failure. It just was. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. When you're an organization like the Los Angeles Lakers, you can get away with, okay, when they were bad, and we're talking the post-Shaq trade era, okay, you get to the playoffs and you get bumped out. It is what it is, right? But LeBron, Luka, Reeves, Hachimura, just not really excusable. So, yeah, I think it was a failure, and now I think they'll be more inclined, and I just want to make sure you can be aggressive. I have no issue being aggressive, but don't overdo it. Don't just get stars to get stars. You have the
depth.
Yeah. So I do have a little concern about that. And like the whole LeBron James thing, he's going to opt out and then get probably paid for, I think he's going to have like a 2-year deal is the rumor. It's weird because I understand there are people that don't love that LeBron isn't apparently going to take a pay cut to keep them under a certain apron. I have mixed feelings about that as well because
he's getting older. He's 4 years old. He has like 1 or 2
it has to be
years left,
justifiable.
I think, so
you can't say, well, you already have all that money. Okay, but I'm the one going to work every day, 82 games at age 41. Like, it has to be worth my while, I mean, there are guys that, like Tom Brady, he just took it all in endorsements and was like, yeah, you guys don't have to pay me that much. And he, took a lot less so the Patriots could have plenty of cap to go out and get guys. And maybe LeBron should have done that one of those years, but I can't fault him because he's playing for so long. And I just think it's so grueling, like going through a long season like that, especially at that age. And now people are like, yeah, he needs to take a pay cut. I think it's easy for us to say, and I understand the sentiment. if you are LeBron James, taking a pay cut just helps your legacy. It makes you look really unselfish. It makes your team better. The likelihood of you winning a title is going to go up. I get that. But at the same time, I just don't think it's as straight and narrow as like, yeah, he should just take a pay cut. Like he's terrible for not doing it.
I think he understands that, of what happened this past season, that, we need him to have pay cuts. We have like, the ability to get other guys in free agency, like paying whatever, they have to pay the player. But, he knows his time is almost up. He's been saying it for a long time. He knows that he has not much years left. So I think he could possibly take a little pay cut. So it'll help the Lakers. And then, that'll be very, very beneficial in the future. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that it, Jake?
I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to say to end that. I just wanted to point that out, the whole LeBron thing. Because, again, I understand the frustration, but I don't think it's just cut and dry. I don't think it's black and white. I think that's a very gray topic. You can go one way, you could go the other. You can side with both. But the reality is the Lakers have to be better next year. They got further with Darvin Ham. That's just, I'm just being honest. So, not really excusable. We'll see what ends up happening. Luka wasn't just for this year. He's for the long term. So
10+ years, that's the hope.
The thing here, though, as we wrap this up, the thing here that the Lakers need to do is make sure he is happy. And the best way to make sure he's happy is getting him a center. So I don't think he wants Austin Reeves traded away for a center, but getting him a center with what they have, I think that'll make Luka happy. And that was the point of going out and getting, Mark Williams in the first place. So I do think the Lakers will be aggressive and they'll get one of Miles Turner. I like Brook Lopez, but he's getting up there. I would like a Miles Turner. I would like a Nick Claxton, guys like that. Daniel Gafford. I know he's going to be wanting starter money. I actually think he's kind of emerging into a guy that could really thrive, and he already has that familiarity with Luka. So I like Gafford.
Exactly.
I think for the right price, I'm not giving him like a max deal, but for the right price, I think Gafford does make a lot of sense. So
right, and his game kind of reminds me of a little bit of an AD, except that he can't really shoot very much. But his inside post game is just like Anthony's, just a little bit different. But like I said, he does have a little chemistry with Luka playing in Dallas, and that'll be a great fit. So hopefully we can get him or Nick Claxton or Walker Kessler, any of those guys that can fit in the roster, and then we'll be good to go for the season.
I agree with that, but that's going to do it. So be sure to check us out at Ethan Shirazi 24 on Twitter, at Ethan_Shirazi on Instagram, and then at JK Bogan on all social media. We're back. We'll try and go. We'll try and go weekly. We'll see, if we can keep it up. Obviously, we're gonna hope that the Lakers have some more news coming up soon. Good news, in fact, not necessarily trading away everybody or anything like that. But we'll keep following them throughout the offseason. We'll be talking about signings, potential trades, anything of that category. And then if they end up holding on to a draft pick, we'll see if they end up drafting anybody. But that is going to do it. Be sure to check us out on social media. As I mentioned, be sure to subscribe to Downtown Lakers and like and comment on the video if you enjoyed it. If you're over on Twitter, by the way, head on over to YouTube, okay, and just give us a sub. Because if you watched, and I see a lot of people, over 240 people, there's not many people right now on YouTube. So we're trying to get people to come over from Twitter, head on over to YouTube. Again, Downtown Lakers. This is going to do it. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Ethan Shirazi, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Later, folks.